So guys, I bring news of great importance. The very clever people over at PVME have managed to work some magic with the game cache files and done some very fancy jiggery pokery, and essentially they have data mined quite a bit of the rewards of the new Amascut boss. Obviously, massive spoilers ahead, and I guess a little disclaimer, there is still a chance that this stuff is not the final version. Like, this could have been a previous version, or maybe it's been misunderstood somehow. But like, judging by what it says, you know, it looks pretty likely to be believable. There is almost certainly more that we don't know yet, so do bear that in mind as well. But without further ado, let's go over what they found and what might just be the set effects and the special attacks and passives of all of the new rewards, at least the ones that we know about so far. So, starting off, we have the Devourers Guard, which is a tier 95 necromancy main hand weapon. This thing is essentially the soul version of the current Omni Guard. It says there is a passive called Soul Reeve, which is the same icon as Death Spark. It gains stacks with the auto attacks, and at 4 stacks it causes an empowered auto that gives you a soul. The special attack is called Soul Crush, and it says crush your target with the souls of the undead. Costs 25% adrenaline, and you get a 30-second buff and a 60-second cooldown. So all of that pretty similar to the current Omni Guard, just a bit more soul-y instead of not. So it does some damage, and it does more damage for each soul stack consumed, and it causes empowered autos each time you soul sap, strike, volley, or scythe, in a similar vein to the necrosis one, where every time you use like touch of death or death skulls or finger of death, your next auto attack will do a bit more damage. So the thing about this, I believe, is the way that this will work could end up being a little bit toxic in terms of gameplay. So hear me out. The empowered auto of this thing gives you a soul, and using Soul Strike gives you the buff that on your next auto gives you a soul. And can I introduce you guys to the flanking perk, where if you are behind your opponent, then certain abilities will do more damage. Specifically, Soul Strike is one of them. That is Necromancy's flanking ability. So technically, what you could do for at least 30 seconds straight is you could either stand under or behind your target and go Soul Strike with a flank, which does like 20k damage, auto attack to get a soul back, Soul Strike with a flank, auto attack, Soul Strike, auto attack, like it just that, like just alternating those two buttons for 30 seconds. And there is a good chance that could be a hell of a lot of damage. Whether it actually ends up being worth it or not, or whether it actually ends up being this effect, you know, it's anyone's guess. But yeah, there is a non-zero chance that that could become the necromancy rotation. It does a lot of damage, and it's very, very easy. So we'll have to see how that goes. But overall, I was really hoping this main hand was not going to be, hey, Omni Guard, can I copy your homework and just change a few letters? Or change a few words? But it seems like it might be, and I've got to say, I'm a little bit disappointed in that. So I am hoping this one is not accurate, but I mean, it looks pretty likely, doesn't it? So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, if this is the thing, then I am a little disappointed. I was hoping for a bit more transformation and variety, but what can you do? Then moving on, we have Tumacans Light. This is the tier 95 halberd, and it has a passive called Purifying Light, which on kill, so when you kill something, it deals some damage to 4 other targets within 6 tiles of that target. So that's pretty large. So kill a target, some light spreads to various other monsters around, and does some damage. Pretty cool. And following on from that, it has a special attack called Sunfall Slam, with the description of slam your target with the full force of Tumacans Light. It costs 40% adrenaline, gives a 15-second buff, and does a ton of damage to everything within range, which will be 2 squares, I imagine. It also has a 60-second cooldown, so quite a long cooldown, but kind of like Meteor Strike, I suppose, it seems like anyway. But during that, it makes your melee abilities trigger lesser Purifying Light, which deals a bit of damage to up to potentially 2 targets in a smaller radius than the main passive. So you kind of get like an extra passive, it seems. So honestly, this thing seems pretty cool. It is the AoE stick. Like, just AoE, 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 like, just kill everything in the vicinity. Very cool. Awesome Slayer weapon. Potentially very good for some bosses as well, if they end up being lots of minions somewhere, either past, present, or future. So, yeah, I like this one. I've got to say, I think it's quite cool. So, yeah, definitely a fan of that one. Much more of a fan of this than I am of the Devourers Guard, it has to be said. So then we have the Robes of Tumacans Resplendence. This is a 5-piece tier 95 magic set, and the 3-piece effect makes Sunshine buff bleeds. So previously only Metamorphosis buffed bleeds. That's like your Combust and your Corruption shot, Corruption Blast. But now with Sunshine doing that as well, you know, like, those abilities could very well be worth using inside Sunshine now, because they weren't really worth it before that much. But now, if they're boosted by that, that could be a lot of damage. The scary part about this is currently, if you're in a group situation, then if person A uses a bleed, and then person B uses the same bleed, person B overrides person A, and person A's disappears completely. I am really hoping with this update they're going to fix that at the same time, because, yeah, it would really suck to have something like super cool like that and then it just not really be applicable in a team setting properly. So fingers crossed. And then the 4-piece set effects that we know about is apparently Asphyxiate is becoming an 8-tick channel, hitting 90% ability damage once per tick. So currently, Asphyxiate, I believe, hits every 2 ticks, and it does a bit more than 90% damage, but now it is going to hit more often for a little bit less, which this also means you'll be having a greater number of hits, which means a greater number of potential crit rolls for your Fractured Staff of Armadillo. So that is going to be lovely, honestly. Very consistent damage, like bam, 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 bam. Like really, really good. So many crits to get. That is going to hit like a truck, I imagine. So Asphyxiate full channel, very good ability, because often nowadays Asphyxiate you use it for a little bit and don't always complete the channel, but now you've got a really big incentive to do that because it just does an absolute truck ton of damage. There's something else as well, which you don't know how many pieces, potentially 2 pieces, we don't know, but whatever this trigger is, your next non-channeled mage ability has increased crit damage. So ideally you would do something probably, and then smack him with an Omnipower, because Omnipower is not channeled, and yeah, bam. Potentially an absolute ton of damage with that Omnipower, so we'll have to wait and see how that goes. And apparently there is one other completely unknown set effect, so we'll have to wait and see what that one does, because we have no idea right now. So have to wait till Monday. And then finally we have the Devourers Nexus, which binds to your character upon use, a bit like a grimoire or just, you know, any kind of god book or something. It binds to you, and assumed but not known to be the hard mode exclusive drop. We'll have to wait and see though. I would be surprised if this is the hard mode exclusive personally, but you know, it may be, it may not be, who knows. But the passive effect apparently is called Haunting Vigor, which makes your ghosty no longer heal you, which to be fair is one of the kind of complaints, you know, like the ghosty is like super OP, it has too much healing. So they're removing the healing if you have this Nexus, but instead Haunted, which is basically the activation of the ghosty. Anything the ghosty attacks, every single damage source is increased. But now this is being increased even more. So with this thing, like assuming you're in a place that you don't really need all the sustain, but using this thing situationally, you are going to hit like an absolute truck. And bear in mind, Haunted doesn't just affect the person using it, it affects everyone. So in boss encounters, like just any group boss, it may be well worth it to have a Necromancer with a Ghosty going on, because yeah, this extra damage is going to be nuts. So look forward to that. Maybe Amascut, maybe Solak, maybe Virago, you know, like all of these things, this extra Haunted damage is going to be massive. That is all we know for now, guys. Let me know your thoughts on these potential findings. Obviously, again, these may not be correct. These are what we currently think are the case, but there is no guarantee that things haven't changed. Like, this could be a past version, we don't know. But at the very least, it all seems pretty exciting, although I must say I am disappointed in this Devourers Guard. I don't like the copy and change a few words kind of thing, and I don't like the idea of flanking auto for 30 seconds straight and maybe more. So we'll see what happens. Let me know what you think, and yeah, bring on Monday, man. I'm so excited for Amascut. It's going to be awesome. Hopefully you guys are as well. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again soon.